Global platform. Very, very good. And we're going to be meeting with Hawker, who is the leader of the... It's in connections. He's the leader of the Old Guard. He's the Chief Justice right now. Is there anything else we need to really look at here? I don't really think so. I really wish the USP was broken down so that I can kind of see, like, who is, like, how the USP is broken down, unfortunately. I don't think there's a way we can really do that, though. The administration is working day and night, an overwhelming amount on issues that were facing the country. The various government departments were sending me an avalanche of documents, all of which required my signature so they could start working on new plans that had been decided on. After I'd signed dozens of them, I closed my eyes to relax for a moment. Another long day. Even though I couldn't wait to leave the palace for the day, Lucien had earlier told me that Chief Justice wanted to speak to me. We were to meet in my office in 30 minutes. I waited for him, wondering what he wanted to talk about. I'm going to take a moment to relax. I stretched out my arms and I look out the window. Thousands of shimmering lights of Harlesworth skyline were mesmerizing. Suddenly, I heard a knock on the door. You like my sound effects? It was Lucien. Good evening, sir. Good evening, Lucien. I'm sorry that I couldn't explain the situation in detail earlier, sir. The Chief Justice insisted on seeing you this evening, and I do not know what he has to say, but it will probably be about the new constitution. He'll be coming shortly with Judge Garcia to the meeting. We shouldn't take them lightly. I think he's here to test the waters. I mean, it would make sense. I think he's here to test the waters. I agree. They'll probably try to get you on their side. We should. There were 3 knocks at the door. Lucien checked his watch, and he looked rather worried. Olivia opened the doors. Chief Justice Arthur Hawker and Judge Harry Garcia entered the room. Good evening, Mr. President. It's great to see you. Evening. I should like get like a voice modifier that I can like have on my like Steam Deck, or not my Steam Deck, my Stream Deck, where I can just press a button and I would just be able to change my voice. These are ideas. These are ideas for future use. I don't know how it would work. I'd have to look into it. It's an idea. Okay. Welcome, Justice Garcia and Chief Justice Hawker. It's good to see you indeed. Orso gestured at the sofa in the office. May I? Please. We all took our seats as 2 opposite sofas and made ourselves comfortable. How were your first couple of months, Mr. President? I hope that you are faring well. I mean, it's been busy. It's a future you problem. Exactly. That'll be like, I will say that, you know what? I'll be like, I'll do this for sure. And then, you know, a week or 2 from now, I'm going to be over my computer for like 4 hours trying to make it work. And it still doesn't. Okay. Thank you. It's been very busy, but I've been doing good. It'll only get busier. Yeah, I think you're doing a good job so far. Considering all that's happening around us, with the shootings near the palace, the soldiers on our borders, it's a troubling time. We appreciate your concerns. So, you probably know why we're here. Please enlighten us, Mr. Hawker. We know you're working on a new constitution. The Supreme Court does not approve of this. With all due respect, the Constitution needs to be updated, sir. I am sure you are well aware of the public demands and our circumstances. Is that so? I see that you are the ones who is not aware of our actual circumstances. You want to make a weaker Constitution in the midst of problems on both from within and without. Even if your proposal passes the Assembly, I'll make sure that it will not pass the Supreme Court. That much is clear. You haven't even seen the proposal yet. Do we play hardball? I mean, I'm leaning towards we just play a little hardball with them. I feel like that's kind of what he would do. Came here to threaten us. 1 is like the coward way out. You don't want to take 1. We'll get to the court too, even if you don't cooperate. Good luck with that. Just as the Supreme Court cannot be bought. Lucien gave a mocking look. I am sure they cannot. Mr. President, you seem to be only partially informed about the current situation. Lead us to explain the reasons for our stance. You know what? I'll hear him out. Let's hear it. We are protecting the Constitution because it works, Mr. President. It is efficient, and it gives you the authority to lead the nation with swift decisions. Sordland has more important problems and threats that we should face now, instead of nitpicking about some paragraphs of the Constitution. We have a potential war on our borders. Orso signaled Heron with his hand to let him speak instead. Mr. President, I know you're a busy man, so I'll make this quick. We all know that Swordlish security forces found stashes of Rumburgian weaponry in the hideouts of blooded separatists. KA-74s are roaming inside Sordland at this moment. As much as Rumburg poses a direct threat, now it's clear that they are also intervening in our country and weaponizing our minorities against us. It's not unprecedented to think that the Bloods will start their terror again with their new toys. Not to mention the fights that broke out between the left and the right wing after the shooting of Bernard Circus. Communists are rising in support of United Katana. The chaos is imminent for Sordland. And sadly, we don't see the administration taking the necessary precautions. You said you will not focus on military during your term, under certain circumstances that cannot be tolerated at any cost. You're taking necessary steps. Tolerate. You should be more careful with your words of choice. You have no jurisdiction, Mr. Hawker. You got no jurisdiction here. We aren't at all, aren't we all part of the state, Mr. President? We all are responsible if Sordland fails to overcome these threats. But regardless of that, are you also aware that the armed Bloodish separatists have direct connections with the Workers' Party of Bloodia? Everybody knows that. You know what that means? Do you remember the vote for, do you remember the vote of the Workers' Party in the last election? What is this all about? The only reason they are not in the assembly is because of the electoral threshold. They have gotten quite big, and they are clearly getting outside help, and their connections to the paramilitary Bloodish force cannot be denied. And all of a sudden, the reformers are trying to decrease the election threshold, so that the Bloodish separatists can be legitimized in the assembly to achieve their aims of independence. I think you're being dramatic. Say what you will, Mr. President. I am stating the obvious. But I wish the only issues were the Bloodish terrorists in Rumburg. The reformists suggest changes that would bring the communists, who are backed by United Katana, into the assembly. Do you see the pattern yet? So I apologize, but I am not a conspiracy theorist. There's no evidence. There's no evidence about any of this. Haven't you been briefed by your security team? Maybe you should suspect them as well. We should take the necessary steps against the communist and Bloodish plots, as well as increasing our military budget against a possible conflict with Rumburg. And of course, not fall into the traps of reformists by listening to their demands. They are clearly plotting to weaken the president and our whole administration in order to exploit the situation. Which brings us to some important information that we have. It's definitely something that you need to hear, and it can change absolutely everything. With all due respect, Mr. President, I think this is getting slightly ridiculous. Please explain, Mr. I'll listen to anyone. Please explain, Mr. Hawker. The person in question is Mr. Franz Ricter himself, the leader of the reformist. We have enough information to infer that he has ties to Arcasia. Arcasia is aggressively growing her influence around the world, and now we have Mr. Ricter coming up with these ridiculous demands for a new constitution amidst a chaotic period in Sordland. All these pieces seem to fit perfectly, and it is why the Supreme Court will be doing what it takes to stop these reforms and preserve the Constitution. How would you know that Mr. Ricter has ties to Arcasia? Mr. Gallade, we all know that he has been in Arcasia many times, because it's been documented. But what would you think if I told you he's been making hidden flights to the country? Taking hidden flights to Arcasia. Explain. He was spotted in a hotel in Arcasia last year, where they held the Conference of Economic Development in Volatile Regions. Right around that time, he started to influence the masses into believing that our constitution is the reason that everything's bad. His trip was not documented, nor was he an official guest at the conference. We believe that he had a meeting with President Walker behind closed doors. I'm assuming that's the president of, he looks like Richard Nixon, so... Okay. I also have more photos of him that were taken in Arcasia in a couple different cities. One is from a couple months back. Again, none of it's documented. He also attended another event in Lesbia last week. The Arcasian Minister of Foreign Affairs was there too. How could they be undocumented? We don't know. Even if he used a private plane, we should be able to get the information for his flights, but that must mean that he has people helping him from inside. Many Solists were already following his leads for quite some time, Mr. President, and I cannot give away their identities, but I can give you the evidence. He hands me a small file. It contained official documents from the Swordish border guards, which highlighted dates that show no trace of Friend Ricter's name. There are clear photos of him that were taken in the Confines of Arcasia, as well as remarks by lesbian and Arcasian citizens who claim to have seen him with Arcasian businessmen around the same dates. There's also an official transcript of one of his speeches, where he claimed to be in Benfi on the dates of the Confines of Arcasia, where he was spotted. Lucian skims through the documents with skepticism, which slowly turned into surprise. They seem to be real. Of course they're real, Mr. Gallade. These seem to suggest that Arcasia is behind their reformist. Their demands will only benefit Arcasia. They want us to have a weaker administration while we face all of these threats. It is clearly a plot against Sordland, and I bet Rumburg is part of their plan too. And it cannot be a coincidence that they are weaponizing our minorities against us around the same time. Now you understand the reasons for our current stance, and also our suspicion about your advisors, who clearly have not been giving you this vital information. Lucian gives him a sharp look. We appreciate your information, Mr. Hawker, but I advise against jumping to conclusions right away. We still need to check the information. There is not much of this to think or check. This is clearly an emergency. In such cases, the Constitution gives the President the right to use his emergency powers. If we work together, you can be sure that the Supreme Court will not block your declaration of an emergency. I mean, I'm a little skeptical, Mr. Hawker. I'll have to decline for at least right now. It seems like you are more influenced by Mr. Gallade than you think. What is that supposed to mean, Mr. Hawker? Why don't you explain your agenda yourself, Lucian? You are swaying the President to ignore national security threats. I mean, it is my own decision. I'm not being swayed by anyone, Mr. Hawker. This is my own decision. Say what you will. Say what you will. History will prove us right once again. And if you will believe that you can enact these reforms, you are living in a land of dreams. I'm sorry to upset you, gentlemen. Even though you're aware of our national security threats, you're making a big mistake, Mr. President. We will not allow you to succeed. Gentlemen, I think it's about time that we end this meeting. Well, thank you for having us, Mr. President. Have a good evening. They both left the room without saying anything else. That was not good. They clearly tried to threaten you. Not scared of them. Not scared. You can't scare me. I am the player. Okay? I know everything. Okay. Or else we'll be doing whatever it takes to damage you. We need to be careful. There's still many old guard sympathizers in our party. We can't let them divide our party. But he will definitely try. After a short evaluation of the situation in our hands, Lucian left me in the presidential office. It was obvious that the old guards would be my main rivals in the near future. Playing Sordland, I got Master of Crisis achievement, ignored all possible crises, or triggered all of them. Playing Rizzi, I regained... Okay. I'll try not to activate every crisis, because that seems like it'd probably be, like, not great. Hawker in Maroon Palace. Chief Justice Orso Hawker has been spotted entering the Maroon Palace, and our sources are intrigued by the timing of the visit that's happening right after the increased conversations around the so-called democratic reform. Historically, Mr. Hawker usually does not frequent the palace unless it's for official business, and this is certainly an unplanned visit. Clearly, there's something that he wants out of this. Our speculation is that it has something to do with the reforms. More to come of this later. And we'll be ending the day. That is going to be the turn 2. I did look into it. There are 12 turns. So when we're done, this turn will be a quarter of the way done the game. I kind of forgot how long Suzerain was. That's fine. We're having fun. Me and you, we're all having fun here. Well, let's read the news, okay? What do we got? The Red Youths rise. Warning bells for Sordland. Recent activities of the Red Youth seen rallying in Narbel have set alarm bells ringing. The sudden visibility of a group known for its radical political ideology raises concerns about potential threats to Sordland's national security. Their resurgence warrants vigilant and closer examination in their intentions and potential influence on our nation's political landscape. Schools poisoning in Rebel. Police have arrested the principal of a high school in Rebel in southern Bergia, where 12 students died after eating a free meal laced with pesticide. The students aged between 15 and 17 died after eating a lunch of local dish of zabla, cooked in a school in a poverty-stricken city. Police have started an investigation to solve the mystery of how the pesticide ended up in the food. Okay, budget changes. As the top economy experts in the country, we have been watching the upcoming changes to the government budget very closely. President Anton Rayne's first internal economic challenges lie ahead, and we will see if he can prove his capabilities as a leader who can think ahead. Potential ramifications of diverting the funding of certain government branches has always been a point of contention for any leader. It is no different in this case. We will see if President Rayne can hold on to his promises that he had given during the election campaign. Okay. In a tactical move to accelerate the implementation of the promised benefits, the Communist Party of Sordland and the Labor Union of Sordland have declared a labor strike at Gulsum. The action seems to serve a dual purpose, exerting pressure on Gulsum's management to uphold its commitments and indirectly reminding President Rayne of the expectations ahead of his meeting with Gulsum chairman Ewald Alfonso. Okay. United in protest. In an impressive display of solidarity, saw members of the Labor Union of Sordland and the Communist Party of Sordland gather in Arbel. This mass protest not only marks a new phase in the fight for workers' rights, but also sends a powerful message. The workers of Sordland will not be silenced or sidelined. Are you going to play? Probably not directly after we finish the base game, but at some point for sure we're going to play the DLC because I've actually never played it. I played the base game before, but I've never played the DLC, and I think that'll be a lot of fun. The women of Sordland have always been under pressure by an unequal society and a system of discrimination. It was built by old men who only knew about war, said Katrina Horton of the Women's Rally that was held in Hoslord. The Sordland League of Women is organizing a number of rallies across Sordland to bring the change Sordland desperately needs. It is time for Sordland to realize that we have to respect every individual, regardless of their sex, and strive to become an advanced civilization. Women have long been pushed to the corners of society and political life. To address this change, a new campaign was started all over Sordland to establish a framework for women's rights. Sordland's League of Women is organizing rallies with the support of Minister of Education, Syria Walda, and member of the Assembly, Katrina Horton. Everybody is equal according to the Sordland Constitution, but there are no protections against discrimination, which only reinforces the inequality in practice, said Walda in a press conference. This movement must be supported by all Sordland workers, all Sordland women as well as men. We need to bring change now. We can do it. The newly unveiled SIPA Education Performance report unveiled the sad reality about Sordland's abysmal status in comparison to many countries. Sordland was rated 39th out of the 68 nations that were assessed by the OMEC organization. And OMEC looks like it's basically the UN. Okay. The primary gauge of the quality of education is made of a sample of 16-year-olds from each nation and their capacity in fields such as mathematics, history, chemistry, and many others. One of the key issues that we've seen has a strong focus on history and citizenship classes, leaving little time for scientific fields. Minister Walda has often mentioned the gaps in the system in her assembly debates before she joined the cabinet. This is also supported by one of our many editors, a professor from Hoslord State, who has long been critical of the situation in secondary education. The SIPA report reveals the damaging truth that the Sordland's education, based on the principles of statism, nationalism, republicanism, poisons the bright minds of our children. We need to get rid of the system from the poison, that is the ideological indoctrination, and let our future generations think for themselves. Okay, what's going on in the world, baby? Embark emerges as buffer zone and global trade power. The Federation of the Arakan Isles, a collection of strategically located islands between the continents of Mercopa and Katana, is poised itself as a significant buffer zone and global trade power amidst escalating tension between United Katana and Arcasia. Enraka's naval strategy has been a key factor in maintaining its influence in the region, with a powerful fleet protecting its maritime borders. The Federation has managed to establish and maintain open trade routes, even amidst the ongoing confrontation between the United Katana and Arcasia. This has enabled Enraka to attract businesses from both countries, positioning itself as a neutral ground for global trade and economic cooperation. OMEC is more like the EU, I think. Okay. I mean, it's EU, UN, you know, one of those kind of unions, I guess. Grace nations unite to counter ideological influences, forward parallel financial order. The historic move, the member states of the Guild of Royal Allies for Commercial Exchange, GRACE, has unveiled a series of joint initiatives to counter the rising influence of Malavist and Arcasian capitalist ideologies. These measures aim to establish a parallel financial and trade system, reflecting the bloc's efforts to adapt to shifting geopolitical landscape and global economic challenges. During the recent Grace Summits in Thornborough, the capital of the Kingdom of Rumburg, leaders of member nations, including the Kingdom of Rizia, the baronies of Sordis, the principalities of Nabruk, the Holy Kingdom of Ricter, the Confederation of Vandosum, and the Kingdom of Nalipernia, convened to discuss strategies preserving their heritage while promoting prosperity and stability. King Romus Taurus of Rizia addressed the summit, stating, "We stand together, not only as partners in commerce, but as protectors of our shared heritage and values. The tides of change may be strong, but our resolves to uphold traditions and resist external influences even stronger." Archduke Bertrand de Velia of Nürburgring echoed these sentiments, asserting that Grace's unity sent a message to the world that it's capable of forging its own path, free from external ideological pressures. Among the key initiatives announced at the establishment of a joint development bank to finance infrastructure projects, boost regional trade, and drive economic cooperation. Drive economic growth. I can read. Additionally, member states have pledged to expand cultural and education exchanges to deepen ties between their populations and strengthen the bonds that underpin their alliance. These ambitious plans reflect the determination of Grace monarchies to maintain their relevance and flourish in an increasingly polarized global order. I think, I honestly, Grace might be one of the more fantastical things in this game, because there's nothing tying them together other than the fact that they are monarchies, which isn't really a third pillar in like a Cold War scenario, right? It'd be like if the Cold War was between the the USSR and I don't know, maybe Imperial Japan. I mean, that could be that's an idea. World War II mod where Germany loses but Japan somehow wins. These are ideas. I mean, I don't know. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. Get this out of here. Van Horten blames Vagtland for the missing fishing vessel. On Tuesday morning, Agnolia's Prime Minister Van Horten has made a statement denouncing Vagtland for its missing vessel, hull number ARV 0238. Our dutiful Coast Guards have rescued a crew member from the missing vessel. Through his statement, we have learned the ship's unfortunate end was none other than the Vagtlandian Navy. However, the president has refused to disclose the surviving crew members due to fear of assassination attempt from Vagtland to cover up their hostility, as the minister later claimed. Okay. Get me out of here. So that's the news for today. We're learning what's going on in the world. Narbel has a lack of hospitals. Months-long waiting list for terminally ill patients. Not great. Recessions hit farmers again. There are reports that 60% of all wheat in Latvian is rotting in barns due to lack of buyers. Farmers are requesting additional funds for the government to survive this year. How's the economy looking? Still bad. It's on a downturn right now. Religious resistance in the sanctuaries. Bergian security forces have arrested 3 priests at 2 different nursery sanctuaries in Sarnia after finding links to insurgent activity. The reports came from an elderly man who wanted to pray in peace, but instead found himself invited to join the Bloodish Freedom Front by state-sanctioned priests. Further incidents indicate that the BFF is pushing for a local recruitment drive in different sanctuaries across the region. Okay. Young Swords and NFP flags burned, and a massive counter-protest against the Young Swords, led by a local politician known to be aligned with the Red Youth, resulted in many injuries and property damage. Subsequently, Young Swords and National Front Party flags were burnt, which caused tensions to escalate. Okay. And going on over here, communist books burned in Boren. Local residents gathered thousands of books that they claim to be spreading communist and Malivist propaganda at the Century Park in Boren and set the books on fire. Aggressive slogans targeting the Red Youth, the Workers' Party of Blodia, and the Communist Party of Sordland were shouted. Youth groups from the local party offices of the USP and NFP also joined in with the burning. Fire department was dispatched and the protesters dispersed on their own. Okay, so what do we have in the main thing right now? Barbecue with Frank, and we got a report to read. The Grand National Assembly was the stage of a contentious debate today over the proposed repeal of the Energy Protection Act of 1932. Arguments both for and against repeal were put forth, but Franz Ricter of the PFJP and the USP Reformers wing leader Albin Calvin leading the faction advocating for the repeal. They argue that such a move would foster economic growth and increase foreign investment. However, the USP is this like this? No, it's slightly different, but it's basically the it's saying the same thing.